I believe this is where we're heading. And if we don't build a global foundation for what's coming, then a lot of you guys will probably end up having to quit on your normal lifestyle and going back home forever. So if you are a digital nomad, a freelancer, remote worker, location independent entrepreneur, then stick around and watch this video until the end, because this is going to be one of the most important videos that you'll ever watch. Hey, my name is Eduardo, and for the last 10 years, I've been living and traveling around the world on a quest to unlock global citizenship. Now, what I mean by that is trying to find a way of life that actually allows me to think, do, and have globally. And that way, be able to ultimately live and have that power and success and freedom anywhere that I want in the world. And now I understand that we as humanity right now are at a crossroads, and there are very interesting scenarios that are happening in terms of the travel industry and remote work and everything that has to do with working and also living in different places. Remote working itself, at that sense of mobility, has been something that has exploded. It's been a trend for the last almost 2 years now. And the funny thing is, traveling itself has been something that a lot of people haven't been able to do. So it is kind of like a dilemma. It's become a paradigm where people are able to be anywhere they want to be and travel, and yet they can't be moving around, so they have to stick at home. With that being said, I believe that a lot of people right now have a growing urge to travel. I mean, a lot of people just more than ever want to be able to travel, want to be able to see the world, and to just leave their home, which they're so sick of, just being inside and full of stress, and just try to relax, have a better time. And that urge and desire that it's been building for the last 1.5 or 2 years for people that are actually stressed and anxious of being at home, it is doing nothing more than building pressure. Kind of something like a pressure cooker. Just think about it. It's actually adding up, and then eventually this thing will burst, and that will create a very drastic change in the way that we travel, in the way that people think about traveling, and the way that we do traveling as a whole. But I don't see this outcome improving in the next couple of years as things kind of reopen up. And why is that? Well, tourism will definitely be intended to reopen and to try to, be exploited so that hopefully they can recover some of the losses they've had recently. And so a lot of the people that are in the tourism industry will only be focusing on creating more opportunities, more visits, more packages, more kind of things that really allow the foreigners and other people, outside people, to visit their country or their city. At the same time, there's been a rise of these digital nomads and remote workers, since a lot of the companies have started thinking about allowing their employees to work remotely without having to be at that office. And so a lot of the common spaces that we normally see, and of course some of the spaces where digital nomads currently work, like co-working spaces or coffee shops or maybe hotel lobbies, all of these places have already been inundated with this type of people, and now they will probably get even more infected, if that's the word to say, with this type of people, because they are just working randomly in different open or public places. Not to mention that I believe there will be a further alienation from those people who are visiting the country and the actual country itself. There's gonna be a bigger gap between the people that are in the country and how they connect with that culture where they're at. Now, normally a lot of the people struggle to connect with the country, maybe because they're not interested in learning the language. They're not interested so much in the people. They just want to get cheap stuff at cheaper price and somewhere where you can feel you can afford a cheap and good lifestyle. But they don't necessarily have the interest to truly connect with the culture and the place and the people there. And so that means that right now, especially with people having that mindset of working online, a lot of the people are going to be having some trouble to actually disconnect and get offline. And I think that would also create certain appreciation for the people who manage to disconnect and manage to be able to get offline and see the country and really have time to integrate, instead of just being connected to the Wi-Fi, working and then staying within that foreigner bubble that they're at in a different country. In terms of the travel industry, I mean, we've talked about a lot of the changes in recent videos, but these changes like the PCR tests and imposed quarantines and vaccines and all these things are actually having a direct impact on the possibilities of people traveling as well. So that means traveling in itself is becoming more difficult and more expensive. There's now you have to have round tickets, and maybe you have less flexibility when it comes to entering the country. You also have to have proof of income and maybe even apply for certain specific type of visas like digital nomad visas or whatnot. So a lot of the authorities are probably focusing more on the long-term stay rather than the short-term stays. So if it's you, you'd have to maybe travel to the place and then go over and impose quarantine, wait for 2 weeks, and then maybe travel for another 2 weeks or maybe a month. And then probably when you come back home, if you have another imposed quarantine, it's just a month of having to stay home because of that mobility. So it's like now they're only allowing vital tourism. So it's like you either come for a long term or just don't come. And that is exactly the new surge of classes, or a greater divide between the people that have money and don't move, and then the people that want to be traveling but don't have as much money. So it's like the broke travelers versus the wealthy people. Now, normally there is already a gap between these two things where, people believe that they have to choose, oh, well, if I travel, maybe I can be traveling, I can have that freedom, but I won't have as much money. And on the other side, people thinking, well, I have a business or I have a life or I have stability in my country, so that means I'm not able to travel or move as much. And with this gap, there's only one way to actually bridge these two things, and that is, I believe, either these broke travelers or people who have that freedom to travel start focusing on generating more income and actually understanding how to make more money so that they're able to have that mobility still. And from the other side, the wealthy people, if they are able to understand the aspect of the globality and mobility and the travel without even having to physically moving, but to actually see the world as a way for them to diverse their lifestyle and to grow their business, that is when these two things can come together closely, and we can create a truly binded and merged world about money and mobility at the same time. So in other words, if you want to be able to start living or maybe continue living remotely and actually thrive in any country that you are at, then you got to do a couple of things. Now, the first thing would be to create a strategic life plan. And what I mean by that is you actually have to create a vision for yourself and understand why is it that you're traveling, since traveling is not the goal, but actually the way, and what is it that you're looking for, so that every time that you go to a country, you're able to really maximize your experience and get something out of it. So that can add up and connect the dots with the reason of why you were traveling. And so once you have that clarity in what is it that you want and what you want to be able to achieve, which goals, which dreams, which things that you desire, then you can actually do the due diligence and understand which countries provide those opportunities that you're looking for. And that's how you're able to see at the world in different countries and actually use those resources to improve and to upgrade your own lifestyle. And so once you have that one thing, the global lifestyle and that strategic plan, then of course you have to start taking action. And that would mean the best way for you to be remote without having to quit on that stability financially is to get the money out of the way. A lot of people think, well, but if I work, I don't care about money. I was one of these people as well, because I don't think that money is the end goal, and therefore I didn't want to work for money. And so instead of thinking, well, money is a resource and it's a vehicle and it's a tool, why don't I just make the money, get it out of the way, and then I can start focusing on what I truly want and what truly matters to me. Instead of kind of neglecting the money and then thinking, well, I want no money, but I want to travel. And then I end up living this paradox where I'm traveling and I feel so alive, but yet I'm barely surviving because I don't have the money and I don't have the funds to actually sustain my travel in a way that I can maximize everything. And so you have to get the money out of the way. That's number 2. And number 3 would be, what can you do and the things that you do in order to maximize your stay in every single country. Now you can have clarity, you can have maybe a mission of why you're doing this traveling, and maybe you want to go to every single country and learn a language or maybe find opportunities for your business. Whatever it is, you can have that. And you can also have a lot of stability, a lot of money, and no issues when it comes to that financial part. But if you don't know how to truly disconnect from the online world and how to truly download yourself from that cloud and actually integrate into the country that you're at so that you can become a local, you can learn the language, you can connect with the culture, you can develop resources, you can find opportunities when it comes to the opportunities that maybe a local would have and a foreigner wouldn't. You can have access to that if you understand how to transition yourself into becoming that local. Now, if you are able to do that, then that's when a lot of doors open to you and you're able to use those countries' resources and things for you to give, of course, and also for you to receive. Because a lot of times the nomads are about receiving and actually getting on, oh, this is a cheap place, this is a blah, 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 and it's better for me and it's just an advantage for yourself. But what about giving in return and actually making sure that you plant some flags, that you do something there so that you can help the people around in the country that you're staying? And that means with these three things, if you're able to actually do these three things by creating that strategic foundation, that global foundation, is you have that vision, you of course get the money out of the way, you make sure that you build a sustainable income, and the three, that you're able to download yourself from the cloud so that you can truly connect with the people, you can integrate, and you can use those countries to reconnect everything in your life and actually make it have that purpose of why you're traveling in the first place. And the truth is, you have to start doing this already, because here's the thing, a lot of people believe, well, yeah, like I can't travel or I can't move to many places, so why would I be thinking about doing something related to travel? A lot of people tell me that, and that is one of the main things that I come across when a lot of people think about this topic. Well, yes, like, but even if I did this thing, I'm not gonna travel in the next couple of months or maybe years. Yeah, I get it. Which is exactly why you have to start focusing on creating that life plan so that you know where you wanna head in the next couple of years. And the most importantly as well is to get that money out of the way. If you start working on the business or the job that you have and actually creating a plan that can fulfill that side of the financial area, and then you can get that out of the way, then the moment that you're able to generate that income remotely is the moment that you'll have that mobility. So money will automatically lead to mobility. It's not about trying to get mobility or like, oh, becoming a digital nomad by finding a job just from, in a day, and then all of a sudden you're a digital nomad. It's not about that. It's about preparing, it's about the mindset, about what the things that you do, and also about how you use the resources around the world. And so you have to start doing this already, and it's because before the end of this one thing, you gotta make sure that you already have that foundation built, that you have your plan, that you are already on the way, and that you already have that foundation financially as well speaking, so that whenever that the world reopens, you're able to just grab your stuff and go to whichever next country that you want to go to without losing stability. And this is exactly why I am also working on myself in the exact same journey that I just told you, because I want to be able to have the money and also the mobility that will not only allow me to help other people and serve other people through a business and actually impact people's lives, but that will also give me the freedom and the location independence to move and go to any country that I want to be in the next day or whatever, whenever that I feel like it. And in fact, it's the whole philosophy of this channel. So if you want to live around the world or travel around the world with stability and that freedom at the same time, then this channel might just be right for you. In fact, it is my goal to share with you exactly how we can live with the best of both worlds, money and mobility, so that we can actually unlock global power, freedom, and success. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like so you can help me help more people just like you.